All right, so welcome to another project presentation. After such a long time, we have Maryam Saim here. Maryam, it would be best if you can give your introduction by yourself and let us know what are you up to these days.
Hi, I'm Maryam Saim. I've done multiple courses with the STEM educators such as Python, Unity, and Arduino, and they were very helpful to me and my journey towards the STEM world and STEM education, as they say. These days, I am interested in discovering the Python language. I have gone onto the processing website to discover the syntaxes for different variables and different things that work in order to for us to learn the programming. And I was also looking forward to Scratch and the pseudocode. I'm working on that because it does go in hand with my computer science that I've taken as a majoring subject. Yeah, and that's all about me.
Hmm. All right, so you are going to pursue computer science in higher education. So, okay, the most of the stuff that they usually teach in like the first or the second semester, you have pretty much covered it already. So that's going to
Yeah.
be a little bit easier for you. But as I told you before, that you should continue to like stay connected on our Slack where you can take a look at other students' projects, especially if they're doing web development now. So that like whatever you create in any programming language can be used by millions of people worldwide because anybody can open up a website from anywhere in the world if they have an internet connection. So that's the power of putting it on the web. Now, let's take a look at the current project that you're presenting. I believe it's from the Python level one. If you
Yes.
can share your screen, let's see what you've made.
Okay, so first I'm going to run the code so that we can have an idea of what the game is. The game is
Hmm.
basically a ping pong sort of table tennis inspired game. And yeah, I'm going to
Hmm.
share it right now. Yeah, so over here you can see that I have like made two
Hmm.
players, and at the top I've mentioned that they're controlled with either W and S for the left player
Hmm.
and I and K for the right player. When I initially made the project, I used the up arrow and down arrow key, but that wasn't really working right for me, so I decided to go with the alphabets instead, and that was much easier
Hmm.
for me to program. And on the left and right side, we can see the scores and the game. How it works is, for
Hmm.
example, if the ball bounces towards the left side of the screen, the right player gets the score. And if the ball bounces towards the right side of the screen, the left player gets the score.
Hmm.
So that's all about the game. I can just play it,
Hmm.
yeah, for a bit. Wait.
So right now, which buttons are you using to control this?
I'm using the buttons of W and S to control this right now.
So it's is the pedal actually moving that slow, or are you like not deliberately moving it to that position?
No, now it's moving,
Oh,
yeah.
yeah. Okay.
The position wasn't
And
really
the
right for it.
okay, all right.
And that's how you know the score is going up. I haven't really made the
Mm-hmm.
red player win right now.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
But
All
like for
right. That
example,
was
I led the red player win right now. So if you see right now, the score over there has increased to 2 because now that player is moving. So every time a player gets the score increases by 1 every time and the game is reset. So should I come towards the code of it right now?
mm-hmm. All right. And other like interesting thing that I see here is that when red made the score, and now the ball is getting spawned again and again, it's always moving towards the blue side. When the
Yeah.
blue would make the score, and then if it would get spawned again and again, then I think the ball would continue to go on the red side.
Yes.
So, hmm, yeah, now it's gonna always go onto that side. That's interesting,
Yeah.
and it's fun to see that like you've implemented text on the screen because just before this in another class I was telling the text function and the text align function to
Mhm.
another student, and like we probably need to increase the font a little bit. But yeah,
Yeah.
let's take a look at the code.
As we come towards the code over here, I have defined all the variables that I've used in this code. It's not a really long code, but I have defined all the variables, and most of these variables, almost I guess all of them, are global variables. Global variables are the
Hmm.
variables that you define outside the function so that they can be used again and again, and so that whenever they're in the draw function, which is a loop, they do not directly start working.
Hmm.
Okay, so as you can see here, in the setup, I've defined the screen size 800 by 600, which was visible when I presented the game.
Mhm.
And coming towards the draw function, we can see all the global variables that I've made. The ball X is
Mhm.
the position, the X position of the ball Y is the Y position of the ball, this is the ball direction of y-axis, and this is the ball direction of
Mhm.
x-axis. I've kind of differentiated these variables, but it was easier for me to work
Uh-huh.
with this because when I was first creating the game, I was just adding the ball x and the ball y for it to move in a horizontal way. But as a result of
Mhm.
that, I was unable to make it bounce, so I created a separate variable for the direction of it, which was the ball direction y and
Mhm.
ball direction x. And the left score and
Mhm.
right score are the variables for the players.
Mhm. All right.
Now coming down, I've defined the position of ball, the x position and the y position, as I'm adding ball x plus the ball's direction of x plus ball y plus the direction of the ball. And I've defined that in the beginning because the ball direction
Mhm.
is -3, which is basically the speed of it, the velocity of it, you can say. And here the position. So basically -3 is added into this 260 so that it goes like back and
260.
forth. And
Mhm.
260, I found out by using the Brit mouse X and mouse Y, and then I figured out the placement where I wanted it to be. Now
So
coming
with the
for,
so sorry to cut you here. So like for the with the help of the printing function, you
mm-hmm,
got to see the coordinates on the console.
yes,
Yeah.
yeah,
And then I guess that like if we start off with 260 and we keep on decreasing, then we're probably going on to the left side.
yeah,
Now, this one is a little bit different than Scratch, that in the
mm-hmm,
Scratch, the grid system is made like this, and it starts with zero over here. But
okay,
in the window, if this is the window, then the zero is at the center in Scratch. But over here, if we have this window, then the x and y coordinate system sort of works like this, that the 0 0 origin is at the top left. So I'm just trying to picture that when you assign it the ball x of 260, then it's probably like somewhere around the middle.
yeah,
Yeah, 260 on the x-axis, because if the total one is somewhere like 400 or something, or 500 or something, 600 or something, then 260 is somewhere around the middle. And once we keep on
yes,
subtracting it, then it's basically going on the left side. Yeah,
yeah.
okay. So now I'm able to
Yeah.
like wrap
So
my head around
basically
those numbers.
the square, I think I created it for 20 pixels or yeah, 40 pixels. I'm not really sure. I need to check that out.
Okay.
But that's why I
Hmm.
had to like go a bit behind 300 because if we start from
Hmm.
exactly the center of the screen, then the square, the ball goes a bit towards the right.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Because it like sort of draws from the corner,
Mm-hmm.
I guess.
Yeah.
Yeah. Why didn't you like choose an ellipse or a circle as a ball? Why a
I
rectangle?
tried using the circle, but the collision functions for the circle, they weren't really working out for me. So I thought that it was best that I use a square so that the whole straight line of the square collides with the straight line of the player, and it was much more smoother like
Hmm.
that.
Yeah, it looked very good, like when you like demonstrated it just before
Mm-hmm.
now. So yeah, we can move on to the next part.
Okay, so this is the over here, I have determined like the bouncing off of the screen. For example, like if it hits this side of the screen, then it has to like decline in an upward motion. So over here, I have defined the ball direction and then multiplied with with -1. So for example, if the ball direction is 1, it was going to be multiplied with -1 to give us -1. Or if the ball direction is -1, then it's going to multiply with -1 to give us +1 so that it goes up, you know.
Hmm. So if ball y is less than zero, that would mean that it would actually even go above the y screen. Basically, it has hit the above boundary, because zero on the y-axis is at like the top boundary, and
Yeah,
that's when your okay, that's when you're changing its
multiplying.
direction
Yeah,
on the y-axis.
yeah.
Okay, okay,
That's why
okay.
I'm multiplying with -1. Otherwise, I was just going to go
Hmm.
with -1, but then I was like getting -1, so I thought it would be best to multiply with -1.
Okay, and also 580, because the remaining 20 pixels are covered by the
Yeah.
size of the rectangle in itself.
Yes.
Okay, okay, that's good.
Okay, so coming towards the bouncing off of the screen, this is where I use the ball X and ball Y. So we have to check the right edge and this the position of the ball. If it is at this
Mhm.
specific position, we have to change the left score. And I've not added a plus one. I've just added plus equals to one because when I was checking out the syntax and I got a little bit help
Mhm.
from the internet, I found that this was a much more safer option, I guess. So I just went with
Hmm.
that. So this way the score variable that I created at the start, it increases and it also displays in the form of
Hmm.
text.
Okay,
And
good.
vice versa for the left edge, I've used the same thing, only the variable over here is changed so that we can change it for the other side. And over here, I have defined the left bounce and the right bounce. And for that, I have defined the position of it. And then I've made it, like, for example, if the position of the ball is greater than left Y, so then that way I'm going to add 18 to it, and then the ball direction equals to ball direction multiplied by -1. Again, the same thing so that it goes into the opposite direction rather than just passing through the screen. And I've done the same thing for the right bounce. So basically, I've just changed a single variable in each of them so that, like, for example, I've used the left Y variable, here I've used the right Y, so that only the positions of the screen for the left player and the right player are different.
All right. So left Y and right Y, they are telling us the Y axis of
Yes.
the left and the right players. And if ball Y is less than right Y plus 80, that's gonna be the
This is from
so
the
that's
top.
gonna be
Yeah.
right Y, yeah, and then the right Y plus 80. So it's 80 pixel. Okay, that makes sense.
Now we come towards the part where I have defined basically the graphics. So over here,
Mm-hmm.
this is the text function that I've used. I've just used a white fill for it so that the text appears in white because it was very much visible from the green background that I had. And here I've defined the text. Here is the parameters from where I wanted to start, and this is the font, which is like 35.
Mm-hmm.
And over here, I've also added the text for the left score, and I've also defined its position, and I've also added the text for the right score, and I've also defined its position by using the same print mouse text and mouse Y and checking it from the console feature.
All
And then
right.
I have created the left player and the right player through rectangles. And at the end, I've created the ping pong ball. And at the end, I've added the stroke weight to increase it to 4 so that their outline is much more defined. And then I have used the key press function through which I was able to move the players, the W and S and the I and K function, so that I was able to move the players and so that they could, like, hit the ball and the game goes on.
So this is where I believe you, since you mentioned that you had some issue with the up down arrow keys. So if we could find the exact key code for that, because the key code for W is basically W, and for S it's
No, no,
S.
I'm so sorry. I
But
was not using the up and down arrow. I was actually using the A and D instead, but I thought that that was a little bit tough for a two-player game.
hmm, of
Yeah.
course, yeah, and since like A and D only like work with um,
Left,
you
right.
you could say left and right, but this is
Mm-hmm.
a up and down type of motion, so that would
Mm-hmm.
also make it a little bit difficult to understand. Did you
Yeah.
try it with the up and down arrow keys, by the way, or did you not?
I wanted to try it out, but I thought that this was the safer option, so I didn't really
This is
like integrate it in
definitely.
the code.
Definitely a safer option. I think I was facing such an issue with another student of ours, and like, or maybe like, yeah, recently I got to see another project presentation where a student had also detected like which keys were pressed, and using their ASCII codes, converted them into some sort of text so that it could be displayed on the screen. So that was a random password generator type of project. So maybe we'll also do that project presentation. But yeah, it seems like a very simple code for like a really good project. Did you
Yeah.
do that like completely by yourself, or like did you find out any good resources out
I
there?
did most of
What
it
was
by
the process
myself.
like?
I did most of it by myself, and wherever I faced difficulty, I would go to the processing website and I would go to the references to check out the syntax for each and everything because
Hmm.
I did face a bit of issue in the text syntax because I was trying to define the font through the text function, which I got to know
Hmm.
okay, it wasn't through that, and the font is basically another syntax. Yeah.
Yeah, so I think that's a different function called maybe text
Mm-hmm.
font.
Yeah, text font.
There are also other functions for its alignment, text align, and text size. I think you maybe like haven't used text size over here.
Yeah, I haven't. I've just used the
Because
text and defined it there.
yeah, so this it's a good display, it's a good UI, but I think maybe the font needs to be a little bit bigger, just like the
Yes.
outline has been made a little bit bigger. So that's something that the next step could be. Are you like working on anything new, or do you think this would have a second version, or do you think like this is a finished project at this stage?
I can definitely work further on it to improve it because obviously this is a level one project. And as I advance on to
Hmm.
level two, and I will be continuing level two most probably. So I
Hmm.
most probably will be improving on this code.
Hmm. Does it like at the moment run on multiplayer setting, right? Like two players have to play it and control it.
Yeah, I can make
Hmm.
it
So
like a single player version and
yes,
yeah, multiplayer
yes.
version.
That could be a good addition. And then maybe some sort of levels where the speed of the ball would keep on increasing, or
Yeah.
the randomizing element would keep on increasing, or maybe any sort of power-ups as well could be added where we would have two balls appearing from the center rather than having just one single ball. So yeah, these sort of things could be improved, or obviously for a next version, but this is a finished project, and like it's very well thought of in terms of its score and its like instructions and its controls as well. Um, can I run this on my screen? It would be good if you maybe like opened up Slack at the moment,
Mm-hmm.
and there is a way that you can share this code with me, and then I can try to run it on mine. Okay, all right, okay. I see that, and the other keys are I and K. All right. It is a bit difficult. Hmm. So the movement does seem to be a little bit difficult, a little bit glitchy, kind of like that movement that we get from the event section in Scratch. Uh, do you remember that part where like we have the events that say when I key pressed or when space key pressed?
Yeah.
Yeah, so if any sort of like controls are built on those events are detected in a slower way, and then once it's detected, then it can keep on running that event, but it's a bit slow process. So I think
Mm-hmm.
that same thing is happening here because you're sort of detecting an event with the help of this definition of the key pressed function. But if you did this thing uh, in the draw function, so that would sort of work like the for loop that we have
Oh, okay, okay, okay.
in Scratch level in any Scratch project, and we've seen that the program with the if space key pressed or if W key pressed, if S key pressed inside a forever loop, that moves a little faster because that's just a conditional statement in a loop compared to this where like a new for a new key pressed for that event to work, it has to detect that event, and that takes a little bit of time. So that's how maybe you can improve the movement of this entire thing. So you see like concepts are quite similar in both areas, whether you are programming it in Python or whether you're programming it in like Scratch. So that same way, this could also be improved, and the movement could be made a little better. But still, it's a great project, uh, really good outlook. Yeah, you should definitely like keep on working on it, and if you need more help, then you can like always ask these questions on Slack. That's where
Mm-hmm.
Sir Heather, Sir Osama, Sir Malik, Ma'am Hiba, and others can also like answer you, and would love to see like what you make next.
All right. Thank you.
Okay, this was like really very well done. I hope to see you soon later.